You're listening to the DFS On Deck podcast, brought to you by LineStar, the top-rated DFS tool set and #1 companion for DraftKings, FanDuel, and Yahoo Daily Fantasy. Go LineStar Premium now at LineStarApp.com. Now, here are your hosts, fantasy baseball experts Joe Pisapia and Chris Meaney.
Hey, yo, what's up, everybody? It's me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia, and welcome to On Deck right here on the LineStar app. It is me, it is Chris Meaney, and it's you, and we are talking DFS right here. It's a fun Friday, and school is out in a lot of places. School's out for my kids, and I got to figure out now how life changes with them home all summer long and figure that out, but it's going to be great. It's going to be a good time, and Chris Meaney, guess what? I got a little data to share with you today on the show.
Ooh.
You like data? You want to eat some data?
Yeah,
you want some data?
I do like data,
right,
especially on a fun Friday.
Fun Friday data. So the last 36 shows of On Deck on the podcast here since May. 36. Would you like to take a guess how many home run calls between you and I we have correct?
I
Out
think
of
definitely
36.
I think definitely 18.
Higher.
No? Wow.
Higher, Bob.
Wow. Okay.
Not much higher, but higher.
22?
20. We have 20 of 36 home run calls. That is what we call in the percentage high in the percentage world. That's what we call that. How about that, Chris Meaney? I got the data
I want to see.
I know. There you go. So we were
Dan's
talking
been
about
putting him on the board lately.
Dan's been busy. Dan has been busy doing that. We appreciate him keeping the tally. It's kind of a fun thing we got going on, and our boy Nitro DFS is in it too. So
yeah, he's doing well. He's
right behind us. He is
Yes.
he is right, not like by a lot, like he's right behind us. So
yeah, like he could catch up this weekend.
Collectively, I think we're even like 27 or something like that, or 25. It's crazy because sometimes there was some overlap, but it is nuts. We are absolutely crushing it here with the home run calls, and we are ready to get back after it today. Chris Meaney, it is a fun Friday slate. Are you ready for a new day, baby?
Oh, I am ready. Let's go.
All right, so we're going to kick things off here with Aaron Nola at home against Sandy Alcantara and the Phillies. Now, here's the thing. I know Aaron Nola hasn't been great. He's had trouble getting into the sixth inning last 2 out of 3 last starts, but he's only 8K tonight on DK. And considering the way the pitching slate looks like, that is an enormous discount for Aaron Nola. He deserves the discount. He's earned it. But at the same time with this matchup at home, I know the offense stinks and all that. I'm willing to go here against Alcantara, and I'm willing to put Aaron Nola and some faith in him to return 8K value. I think that is very reasonable. We're used to seeing probably anywhere from 1,000 or more a difference in terms of pricing on him. There's a significant discount. I'm in on it. How about you?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. You look at this price and you have to jump on it. You'd be silly not to. And Nola he's the best value on LineStar for DraftKings. It makes a lot of sense. $8,000, like you said. Like there's some studs at the top that you're going to want to have some exposure to, but you got to take advantage of this price, take advantage of the matchup. I know that Miami has been decent lately against St. Louis, pulled off another win yesterday against the Cardinals. They've been, road dogs.
Cardinals are in a bad spot. Goldschmidt's sitting on the bench. Goldschmidt has just 29 RBI on the year right now.
Yeah, it hasn't been good for the Cardinals.
We're at the halfway point. He's got 29. That's not a good number.
Yeah, it's rough. So it hasn't been good for the Cardinals, but we talked about Flaherty in a spot and he was fine. He didn't get the W, but now, Nola's similar to me. I look at value on the board. I look at his game log and I see some tough outings against some tough teams, and I see some outings against some mediocre teams like Detroit, like Miami already, where he's had great showings and he's definitely returned value. So I feel pretty strong about him today, actually, to have a good showing.
Now I don't know if I like it as much as the standalone at 8-7. I know tournaments
it's
people
tough to get involved, Joe. Yeah,
it is, but it's easy to get involved in Bryce Harper, who's now at the top of this lineup.
Yeah,
and this is a new thing here, relatively anyway. And I want to kind of dig into this because we haven't really talked about it yet, and we haven't really chatted about Harper in a while. But I think this is a good idea. I like this a lot. Sometimes you got to be a little clever to get things going. Getting him up there, getting him more at bats, I think is the right thing to do right now. And I love the value. He's just 4K on FanDuel. On DraftKings, he is 4-4. So I really like him at the top of this order. I don't love the rest of the order. If you want to go ahead and go back to back on FanDuel with Hoskins and Harper, you could do that and go all in. That's fine. I think there's other things you have to count for tonight. especially with Milwaukee, back home and a couple other things we'll get to. But I just want to put that out there. I do like Harper at the top of the order, and especially the discount you're kind of getting with him at the top of the order, which is terrific. Let's move on to another returning hero. We got a bunch of returning guys too. We got Judge and Altuve, and this next guy, Dallas Keuchel, making his first start of the year against Steven Strasburg. Now, Keuchel is just 8.3 against Strasburg at 10.5. Looking at this one, Chris, I feel like there's going to be a lot of love for Keuchel tonight. He's only 7.7 on FanDuel, but I don't think this is a great first shot out of the gate for him on the road in Washington. I don't love it. I think it's a bit of a trap. I think I would stay away from it, especially because Strasburg has been good against Atlanta this year, and Strasburg at home. I just think it's kind of tough for Keuchel, who's not a big strikeout guy to begin with. Let's all remember that, boys and girls. I feel like absence has made the heart grow much fonder of Dallas Keuchel. Remember last year, everybody wanted to drop Dallas Keuchel, and now everybody's like falling over themselves to own him. And now tonight, I guarantee you the ownership is going to be way higher than it should be.
Yeah, I have no season long shares. I didn't want to get involved, and he's a fine ratios pitcher in decent spots. But this first outing against Washington, I'm not involved. He did throw 106 pitches in his second AAA, or it wasn't even AAA actually, it was AA, and he got rocked in that outing. It was Joe Adele actually took him deep in that game, but I'm not going to get involved here. Like, he could do enough to throw, like I'm saying, he could throw 90 plus pitches. Like, I'm not really worried about him being stretched out. I just don't love the matchup. And you're right, he's not a big strikeout guy. He's somebody who relies on a ground ball rate that's hovered around 60 for most of his career, and he doesn't allow a lot of home runs. But tonight, no thanks. Not with some of the studs that are on the board today. And I'm not interested in Strasburg either. I don't usually like to attack the Braves unless I'm just trying to, look for some tournament love. He does have that upside, obviously, Strasburg, but when you're looking at a slate with Chris Sale and Trevor Bauer on the board and some value like we just talked about with Nola, and we'll get to, I'm sure, a couple other guys that we like, both of these pitchers are just complete passes for me.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think they are passes, and it's just funny to me. People saw Keuchel strike out with 9 guys in single A. Like, whatever, that's single A. It's a whole different animal. Don't get all excited about that.
He should do that in single A.
Right, he should do that. Well, there was once upon a time he was doing that in Major League Baseball, but this whole notion that Dallas Keuchel is some kind of savior or somebody that you really want to get in bed with in DFS right away is crazy, especially against the Nats. I don't like it at all. What I do like in this game actually is Howie Kendrick, though, against Dallas Keuchel at 3.3. All he does is hit. I mean, that's all he does. He's in a good spot there, too, where he's got Rendon and Sono ahead of him. So the guys are going to be on base. He's seeing RBI opportunities. He is a great lineup builder. I can't get enough Howie Kendrick. How do you feel about him?
Yeah, I mean, he's a professional hitter. We've talked about him before, being a career 300 hitter, can hit lefties, can hit righties, getting a good opportunity here.
He's more than Soto on DK, though, tonight, Chris.
We've been... We've been all over his DK price in terms of just baiting him, because there was at one point, Joe, he was 5.4. He was 5.4 on DK, and we were like, whoa. And then he was 3.3 on FanDuel, and you look over on FanDuel, it's the same thing. He's 3.3 right now. So I keep an eye on him this weekend. Brian Dozier, a couple home runs the other day. Keep an eye on those two. I think there's some value in tournaments, if you want to get involved that way. Adam Eaton hasn't really done a whole lot, but these are guys that are cheap for the weekend if you're playing.
All right, very good. Let's move on to the next game here, which I'm starting to feel like it could be it's not a hard pass completely, because I do want to point out some of the offensive players, but Musgrove and Lauer. Look, I'm done with Musgrove. It was a good run there.
5'5".
Yeah, you know what? Again, he's earned that price.
Yeah,
he's earned that.
Yeah, you're right.
But I will say this against this San Diego lineup. I know Machado's been a little banged up and all, but still, Hunter Renfroe and Franmil Reyes. Franmil Reyes is just 4-1 over on the DraftKings side, and over on FanDuel, these guys too. You just got Franmil at 2.9, Renfroe at 3.3. There's some serious power, some serious pop here at a discount. And I think on a night like tonight, you're going to need some of those kind of bats, and they've got home run upside, especially tournaments. And I like them against Musgrove in this ballpark tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense for Musgrove. I'm actually going to have a share. I'm going to have a share because there are some offenses that I want to get involved in. Definitely Boston. I'm going to want to have some shares of the Red Sox tonight for sure. So if it's not a bad stars and scrub strategy, I know Musgrove has been very bad, but at least it's at home against a Padres team who has, a league high strikeout rate. So there's an opportunity there if you want to go Sale Musgrove or, Bauer Musgrove. It's something to think about at least, but definitely have some exposure to some of these Padres bats. I mean, they're affordable, like you said. Manny Machado's on like a 9-game hit streak. I mean, we've been talking about him heating up, and his price is really caught up on DraftKings. But if you're still playing on FanDuel, 3-4 is
3-4.
It's a free square, guys. Like it really is. Like it's not even the most expensive bat on his team.
Well, no,
so
and that's the whole point is you're looking
involved.
tonight where there's going to be some big bats in play. You know, you get the Yankees back up there too in full bore here, and you got the Brewers at home and Yelich get another home run. So, and then of course Trout's been red hot, and all there's so many things to get behind tonight. Whereas you're going to have to find some guys like this, and we just pointed out Kendrick. We pointed out earlier too, that Harper is reasonably priced. So there's some options and some places to go. And I really like San Diego all weekend too. And we'll get to that in tomorrow's show too, because they've got a good weekend ahead of them in terms of some of the pitchers that they're facing. I think it's Stephen Brault, and I got to remember who the other one is too. So there's a lot of opportunity this weekend to go all in on the Padres. All right, let's get to that Yankee game. We got Paxton, the lefty, against Brad Peacock. Now, I think this is another trap because you like to point out Houston hits left-handed pitching very well, and you got Jose Altuve back in this lineup. You also got a little flip-flop here, too, where you might see Altuve in the 3-hole today with Michael Brantley hitting 2 and Bregman at the top. So Yordan Alvarez has really kind of changed the dynamic of this lineup a little bit. So you got the big boy in the middle here. And I think he's going to play tonight against Paxton. We'll see. I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't throw him in there.
No, I think he will too. Yeah, you get the DH. I mean, he got a game or two in Cincinnati, so there's no reason.
It's kind of a trap, though, don't you, tonight with Paxton?
Yeah, for sure. I'm not getting involved in any of these pitchers. No way. I have too much respect for these lineups. Like we've talked before about good pitchers against good teams as tournament plays. Like I just don't want any shares at all. Like the Astros are not a team that strikes out of 10. Look at that Yankees lineup, and Brad Peacock has had some stumbles since he went on a really good stretch, and he's had some stumbles over the past few outings. So I can't get involved. No thanks. Absolutely not. I mean, Altuve's 3.8. If you want to go there, Brantley's 3.8 over on the FanDuel side. There's not a lot of value here on DraftKings besides Altuve, I suppose, at 3.8 as well on both sides. So no thanks.
Yeah,
look at Judge.
Altuve,
look at the Yankees come back and they're just so expensive, right? Judge is 5. Like Upton's not the same as Judge.
It's the DraftKings part. So on FanDuel, it's not the case. On FanDuel, Judge is 4. LeMahieu's still 3.8, which is about what he's been lately. Stanton's 3.9. And Encarnacion, who we've talked about in the last home run call we got right, was 4.2. So, even Didi Gregorius and Gleyber Torres, here's the thing. You want a piece of this Yankee game tonight? Again, I'm going to keep harping on this. You go down to Didi, Gleyber Torres, and Aaron Hicks at 7, 8, 9.
Yeah, just get a piece of it. Yeah.
3.6 and 3.1 respectively. Though that's an enormous price break on guys where those guys aren't easy outs. And Didi's been red hot since he came off the DL too. He's hitting over 300. I mean, I don't understand. Like I'm looking at, and I know you got to give a price break somewhere in the lineup,
right?
But I'm taking advantage of this one for sure. I think this is a great one tonight.
Everybody should. Yeah, Peacock's allowed 4 homers in his last 2 outings. I mean, lefties have crushed him so far this season. 7 bombs, 362 WOBA, 518 slugging. So Didi is a great call. Hicks is going to go to the other side of the plate. He's going to swing there from the left side. So he's 3-1. I mean, just because he's hitting 7 in the 7th spot, 9th spot, get a piece. That 7, 8, 9 is actually a decent little stack. I mean, people are going to try to fit in Judge and Stanton and Sanchez or Edwin. But the bottom of those, the 7, 8, 9 guys, these guys are going to have so much opportunity, RBI opportunity, to drive in runs. Like, you don't think that those guys ahead of them are going to be on base. Like, you're silly, because there's going to be a lot of offense to be had in New York for the rest of the year. So that's where you're right. We've been talking about Gleyber and Hicks for a while on the FanDuel side. You got to take advantage of that.
I agree 1,000% on that. That's where you hit it. You hit it hard tonight. You fade those top guys, especially because Stan's just coming back. Judge is just coming back. There's a little bit of rust in there. Now they could have good games if Brad Peacock can help that fact, but still, I just don't think it's a good thing to overspend right now when you have guys who have equal, if not more, upside at a better cost. Let's go to Matt Boyd and Trevor Bauer tonight in Cleveland. Now, here's, Boyd is 10K, Bauer's 11.5. Bauer's been better the last 2 starts. That's their FanDuel pricing. Here's my point of view with this one. If you want to take a shot, you take a shot with Matt Boyd in tournaments as the oppo play, because Bauer has been good the last 2 starts. So I'm okay with that because Boyd's been outstanding. The strikeout to walk ratio in the year has been outstanding. I understand the trouble is, can he get to the W? And that's a real question mark. What's your take on this one? Do you think it's just better to stay safe with Bauer now that Bauer looks like he might have at least turned a bit of a corner recently.
I think so, but you're right to be hesitant because, they're two good pitchers going up against each other, two really, let's be honest, mediocre offenses. You're going to want to get that win tonight. So from a tournament standpoint, I still got Bauer. I'm
gonna put this out there. Bauer's 11-5. My problem with Bauer tonight is for $500 more, I can have Sale at home against Trent Thornton and the Blue Jays.
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
and I'm looking double-digit strikeouts in the face there in that game, and I'm looking at staring at a hard W there because they can't beat Trent Thornton, and there's a problem out there. So that's my problem. Is on the standalone pitcher side, I don't get it. And then we're kind of doing two games at once here, but
no, you're right.
That's why it's Boyd or bust for me in that game.
Yeah, see, well, like in cash, you're definitely playing Sale. In tournaments, you're going to want to have some shares. But if you want to pivot off Sale, I mean, we've seen Sale have bad outings so far this year, and if you're all in on him, you've been screwed. Yeah, you're right, but it could happen, right? You don't have 100% exposure to him. I would just rather have Trevor Bauer. I mean, I see the fly ball rate starting to catch up a little bit to Matt Boyd. He's starting to allow some home runs. I mean, that's what he did all of last season. He's allowed a home run in 3 straight outings, 4 over that span. He hasn't gone deep in a while, really. I mean, he went 7 innings against Minnesota. Other than that, you have to go all the way back to early May to see that he went past 6 innings. So Bauer's coming off a complete game shutout against this exact Tigers team where he just cruised right through them, 8K, 4 hits. So it's a pivot. It's a pivot off Sale, but he's not a cash game play. It's a tournament thing, and you should have exposure. You should have near 100 exposure to Sale. It makes a lot of sense to, but if you're going to pivot off him and you're not going to go all the way down the board to Nola, there's more upside with Bauer than Nola.
Yeah, I can understand that. If you're just trying to get off ownership, that's fair. But we always talk about it. You don't get extra points for being fancy. You get points for being right. So, all right, let's go to Ariel Jurado at home against Ronaldo Lopez, because this is another one too to discuss. Jurado had his streak broken last weekend. It was sad. It was a 4 straight quality starts, but he's got the White Sox at home, and I'm willing to go back down to this well because when you're looking for secondary pitchers tonight, Chris, I mean, how do you not like a salary at 6.5 that allows you to put a Chris Sale lineup in tournaments if you want?
Yeah, I mean, that's the way I felt with Musgrove, right? I mean, you save yourself another $1,000.
Yeah, but I feel somehow better about Jurado at home against Ronaldo Lopez, and especially with this Texas Ranger lineup with Calhoun back too, another big stud lefty bat.
Yeah, I mean, that's why they get this 6.3 team implied total. And you're right to think that there's a better opportunity here for a win for Jurado for sure. It is the highest total game on the board. They're expecting a lot of runs, 11.5. And it's not even close. I mean, that really could get to 12 with both of these offenses and gas can Ronaldo Lopez on the hill for sure. So, I mean, this guy's allowed 19 home runs already, and lefties crush him, righties crush him. The fly ball rate is through the roof. The hard hit rate is bad. So you want to get involved in Texas bats, I'll say that. Like, I don't have much interest in the pitching sides, but you're going to want to get like the Willie Calhoun.
Another great FanDuel stack, right? Asdrubal Cabrera at 2.9, Willie Calhoun 3.4, Mazzara, who's been much better of late, 3.
How about Odor 2.8? Get involved in that.
I mean, Odor is the only one guy he pisses me off because of the he's so all or nothing.
But he's a perfect tournament guy. He's the perfect tournament player.
I know, but he just makes me mad.
it makes sense. Like, he hasn't been great this year.
I mean, even Chu at the top of this order, too. I mean, look,
Chu's great.
Chu, Mazzara, Willie Calhoun. If you want to just stack the lefties against Lopez, you can go do that.
In cash.
And Asdrubal Cabrera is in there, too, at 2.9. I mean, another great lineup builder one-off tonight where you're looking for guys around 3K to make lineups work. Absolutely love it. All right, Sonny Gray. God bless you, Sonny. It's been a pretty good year for you, but I can't tonight against Milwaukee and Milwaukee. Not doing it. In fact, I can't believe this is only at 8.5. How is this not an over?
I know, really surprised. And it actually went down. It opened up at 9 and it went to 8.5. The Brewers actually, their offense has been struggling a little bit. I know they lost yesterday.
Because they played road games lately.
That's exactly it. They went to San Fran and they went to San Diego, two of the best pitcher parks in baseball.
It makes me laugh because everyone's like, wow, they've really hit a rough patch. I'm like, no, they just hit a road trip, you tool. Yeah. Like, that's what happened.
Exactly it. Yeah, it's exactly it.
Go get them back in Milwaukee. It'll be fine.
Yeah, they'll break out. The Reds pitching has been pretty decent this year, especially their bullpen, but they'll break out. They're at home. We've talked about that all year, to fade them on the road. And and take them at home. Sonny Gray has been really good against lefties, a 186 average. Its opponents, that's pretty solid, man. A 218 WOBA and only a 263 slugging percentage. So maybe you just kind of, I don't know, Yelich is a different beast, but maybe like Moustakas or Thames and Shaw, maybe those aren't the guys for you tonight. Maybe you want to get involved
Kane
elsewhere.
And Braun with Yelich, I think, tonight if you want to go with those guys. And they're pretty cheap too. Kane is just $3. Another guy on FanDuel is just $3K.
Him and Brian Braun.
Braun's 2.9. If you want to attack Sonny Gray tonight a little bit, I know it sounds crazy, but I think you actually want to do it with the righties because they're cheaper.
And how about on the other side? I think we should pick on Chase Anderson a little bit as well. This is another fly ball guy, and I think maybe people seem to be out on Suarez. His price has dropped down a little bit. He's in a big slump and he hasn't been good. So 4-1 a DK seems like maybe it'd be a bit of a stretch, but I think he's a solid
at 2.9, Puig at 2.9. Excuse me, Dietrich at 2.8. I mean, there's a lot of value here. Actually, on the weekend it's going to jump up, but there's actually some decent value there tonight as opposed to let's looking at for Saturday and Sunday. Martine Perez, the lefty against Jake Junus. I'm going to fade this one a little bit personally. I don't like any of these pitchers in this matchup, even at the cost. I think Martine Perez can get a win, but he's been spotty. He's gone back to being the Martine Perez that we all thought he was. But if you're looking for pieces of this lineup, it's always a good idea for Rosario and Cruz or Rosario, Cruz, and Cron. You can stick with the middle of this order and you can't really go wrong. Do you have anything to add here on the other side of this one? Maybe Jorge Soler again against the lefty?
Yeah, sure. Why not? He's been crushing lefties this year, and he's been good to us over the past few days. So,
past few days, he's been very good to us.
Yeah, he really has. Yeah. I will say this about the Twins. I was listening to their broadcast the other day, and they were talking about just the funk that they were in, and they are in one now. They just played the Red Sox, and then they thought they'd bounce back in Kansas City yesterday. Only scored 1 run. All of a sudden, they've lost 4 or 5, and it's hard to keep that pace up all year. Like they've been the best offense in baseball all year. I mean, they've crushed lefties. They've led in home runs and contact rate. They don't strike out a lot, so it's normal to see a little bit of a slump. So I think maybe from tournaments, people are off of them. I think people have been burned over the past few days and they won't think about them. I would shy away in cash, but I would still get involved in tournaments. I mean, they have a 5.19 implied total. We know what Jake Junus is all about. So I think from a tournament standpoint, this may be the first time in a while where you could get low ownership on some of these guys.
All right, here's the next guy I want to talk about because I think he's an intriguing pairing with Aaron Nola tonight on DK. If you want to just kind of go cost effective and load up on offense, it's Griffin Canning against the Cardinals, who I think are really scuffling right now. Goldschmidt's hitting he's hitting under 200, isn't he, on the year or something like that? It's crazy. It's terrible. Like where everything is just it's a bad scene right now, and I feel like they're just getting beat up. He's got a matchup against Michael Wacha. He's no DH. I think you can make and right now, I mean, you can't get much harder than Trout and Upton and all these guys. So wouldn't you think that it's a decent play to Ohtani won't be in the lineup though, right? Because there's no DH.
Yeah, he probably no. They're gonna end Pujols. This is Pujols' first game back in St. Louis.
Wow, that's right. Is it really?
Yeah, right.
How did that happen? Was he hurt or something the last time?
I just don't think they played in St. Louis for like 8 years. Is what feels like almost 8 years.
Oh, I guess they played St. Louis, but not in St. Louis.
Yeah, not in. Like he's played the Cards, but he hasn't been in St. Louis. So this is gonna be a special weekend for him.
That'll be nice for him.
Yeah, he's gonna get some at bats. So yeah, I don't know if we'll see Ohtani at all this weekend. Maybe he can play first.
I think you can make a really strong play for Griffin Canning tonight, though, in this matchup. I really do.
Yeah. The Cardinals, you're right. We've talked about them over the past 3 weeks. They've been one of the worst teams in baseball. Like they right now over the last 2 weeks hitting 218. That's 29th in baseball. Only the Orioles have a worse average. And go look at them from a WOBA standpoint. They're 27th. I mean, they're striking out 25% of the time. I mean, they're really struggling. So Canning does have that fly ball rate that kind of gets him into trouble, but he can strike a few guys out as well. And you mentioned Trout. LineStar has him as like the best value tonight from a hitter standpoint.
Well,
and he's 5'8".
Yeah, right. Well, and that's look, I can understand it. I mean, LineStar App is not wrong.
No, I get it. He's on one of those runs right now.
Yeah, how do you squeeze him in? And you can make a way. Look, you know how you squeeze them in? Guys like having Canning and Nola as your pitchers tonight. That's or Canning and Urado, and you want to go load up on offense. I think you can do that and make it work.
I like Upton at 3.9, and I like Calhoun at 3.2 on the FanDuel side. I think those are good prices.
I would agree with that. All right, Samardzija and Taylor Clark. I just kind of want to skip it. I mean,
Yeah, you're not wrong to want to skip it.
I'm not one to skip it, but as always, David Peralta on FanDuel is underpriced, and I think that's the only thing worth pointing out here.
Yeah, good call. Samardzija is not very good on the road. He allows a lot of homers. Get involved with Peralta.
All right. Let's move on to more important things. Although this one might be worse. Andrew Kittredge against Tanner Anderson.
Man, what a wild finish last night. I went to bed. I didn't see the finish, but I woke up this morning to a notification of Matt Chapman with the walk-off home run. So the Rays scored 3, I believe, in the 9th, and then Oakland just scored maybe 4 in the bottom of the 9th. I think that's how that works.
I didn't see it all.
Yeah, and just, I mean, it was a wild finish. Yeah, it was a 5-4. Yeah, the Rays scored 3 in the 9th to take the lead 4-1, and then Oakland, scored 4 in the bottom of the 9th, walked off Matt Chapman. I still like some of these Oakland bats. I don't think that they're getting the respect that they deserve. I love taking them. Their team implied total at 4. I still like Olsen at 4-4. I like Davis at 4-1. I don't really care that it's in Oakland. This Tampa, we mentioned it, this Tampa bullpen, I told you about that broadcast. Those Tampa broadcasters are completely worried about this bullpen and how many innings they've already had. I think it's starting to catch up to them.
No,
they have an opener every other day, and they go over the bullpen.
It's not a long-term strategy. They're playing like it's a Little League World Series, and it's not. It's
catching up to them.
Games.
Yes, for sure. They're gonna need some sort of starter, like to pick up somebody to give them some long relief.
They won't, because they won't want to deal the young talent they have. So it'll have to be somebody off the scrap heap. And I don't know if that's going to help.
Well, Chapman, Olsen, Davis, I want to get involved in those 3 on FanDuel. I think there's value with all 3 of them, 3-7, 3-4, 3-8. It's doable. You can get those 3 in and really still have a solid balance for your lineup. I would even do it in cash in the late slate.
All right. German Marquez against Walker Buehler. Now this one deserves our attention, okay? Because over on FanDuel, Marquez is just 7-6. Now, he's got a 3.3 ERA on the road this year. We all know he's a strikeout machine. Walker Buehler has been better lately, but it's 7-6. It's like begging. It is begging on FanDuel to be played in tournaments tonight with Mike Trout and with whatever else you want to just blow all the cash you have on. And I'm fine with it. You know what? We always say the same thing. Even the other night when Flaherty, I said Flaherty was a lock for 40 points and he still didn't get a W. I feel the same way about Marquez. He can still get you 40 tonight without the W, and you can still hit pay lines for sure in tournaments with even upside for more if the Rockies should jump on Buehler. Now, the funny thing with Buehler is, without, you have Trevor Story down to this lineup, so it's a little bit of a negative because the bottom of the order is not good now. You get to McMahon and Rogers and Tapia and Walters. It's not that good. So all of a sudden things look a little rocky for Colorado. But I think it's something where you have to recognize the value here tonight. And I'm not saying it's necessarily a thing. It's not a cash game play. It's might not even a DraftKings. On DraftKings, he's 9. And that's FanDuel, Chris. That's 7-6. You don't want to get this time.
Yeah, it's tough to have him as your one pitcher. I see what you're saying. I think it's
pitcher in a tournament, especially on FanDuel, because it's all about the strikeouts and the quality start on FanDuel. Can he get me that?
Yeah,
and I feel like he can.
I feel like he can too. I mean, that over/under is set at 7 right now, which is pretty remarkable considering these two teams and what they can do offensively. So Vegas is not only giving Walker Buehler some respect, but they're giving Marquez some respect as well.
Buehler's been good lately, Chris. I mean, he really has. He's definitely turned the corner.
Yeah, for sure. And I like him much better at home. I always have. I think Buehler is somebody you can get involved with in cash in a late slate.
I take the under in this game.
Yeah, for sure. Me too.
At 7, right? It's at 7. I'm taking the under. I don't think. I think it's going to be. This has got 4-2, 3-2 written all over it.
Yes, actually jumped up to 7.5. Wow. So it's
take
gone
the
from
under.
7 to 7.5. Yeah, absolutely. Maybe wait till it gets to 8. No, but there's little adjustments you can do, guys. You can. If you're just new to the the betting landscape, you could get an alternate total if you want. If you didn't feel comfortable with 7.5, you can adjust it to 8.5. You're obviously not going to get the same kind of odds, but if you feel better about 8.5, obviously we all should. Another run will help us out. You could do that. So yeah, I agree. I think this is going to be a low scoring game. I'd go Buehler in cash, and I'd take a shot with Marquez in tournaments for sure. Why not?
All right, and last but not least, your boy, your namesake, John Means, who is 8.1 on FanDuel, bot, just like your auto, very cheap, 7.2 as a secondary pitcher on DK. There's another guy tonight. I think has upside. And I understand the lineup doesn't have Mancini in it right now, and that's kind of a bummer. But at the same time, I know the Mariners had a good output the other night. Domingo Santana had a huge game. I get that. But Means has been very good. And I think he's definitely in play again as a secondary pitcher where you're trying to find a way to pay up for Bauer, pay up for Sale. I think it's got to be guys like Means and your auto tonight. You got to be willing to do that because there's just way too much offense potentially on this board with Texas, with Milwaukee, with Boston, with the Yankees. Way too many big-time offenses that have good matchups and good situations. So that's my feeling. Are you as bullish on Means as I am?
Yeah, we should be. You talked about them against the Red Sox, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he had a good showing against the Red Sox, and now he's going up against the Mariners. They strike out 26% of the time against lefties. It's the fourth highest mark in baseball. Look at all the lefties. We've talked about it before. Look at all the lefties inside, in this lineup, and Smith and Crawford and Vogelback's getting everyday at bats, but he still can't hit lefties. And Seager, D. Gordon, there's a lot of lefties up and down this lineup. So I think Means could get you a couple strikeouts more so than because he's not a huge strikeout guy, but he has the potential to do that tonight. Yeah, you might not get the win, but Mike Leake is nothing special on the other side. You could be surprised.
No. Oh, that's the thing. I look at it like Mike Leake on the other end of this one. That looks pretty decent. Yeah. Somebody could do something here. Maybe Chris Davis shows up.
Yeah, maybe he does.
Oh, it killed me. Oh, Chris Davis, man. To be Chris Davis, to be tall and handsome and virile and millionaire and just get to hang out.
He's 2-2. Do we go down that road again? No, we don't.
I mean, I don't know. He's
2,000. He's $2,000 on FanDuel. He's 2-2 on DraftKings.
I haven't looked at the Chris Davis game log lately. I don't know if that's something I want to do right now. If that's going to be a bad thing or a good thing for me.
Let's leave the show on a high note, not on a bad note, by looking at his game log.
When's the last time he's had a multi-hit game? I guess that's my question.
Well, here we go. He's hitting 159 on the season.
Is that all?
That's not good. The last time he had a multi-hit game was May 10th. He went 2 for 3.
Oh my!
May 10th,
goodness.
and
May
10th.
May
he just it's a lot of zeros. There's a lot of donuts here. He's had let's see how many multi-hit games he's had this year. He's had 1, 2, 3, 4. He's had 5 multi-hit games this season. Poor guy. Remember when he was just crushing home runs every time he went up to the plate? Like every time this guy was hitting home runs. I was at the Rogers Center a few years ago. He hit 3 in one game.
40 something, making runs at 50. It was crazy.
53 home runs in 2013.
They
now he's
took away his medicine. They took away his Adderall, and then I don't know what happened. He can't focus.
Right. Yeah, ever since that moment, it's been kind of downhill for him.
All right, let's focus on some betting right now. What are you looking at tonight here? Besides that under we were just all over. What else you got on the board?
Yeah, I have that one written down on paper, the under. I like the over in Houston and New York at 9. I'm going to take Atlanta every time they're road dogs. I'm not huge on Keuchel tonight. We think he's a trap, but I think, the Braves can do enough to win the game at plus 129. I think he can take Boston by a couple runs today, get some value. Minus 150 to take him by 2 runs. Detroit, Cleveland under 8.5. I like Minnesota on the road, and I like Arizona at home against San Fran.
All right. It's that time in the show where it's time to go yard. We're going to call our shot. And tonight for dinner, I'm serving a Fran meal. That's right. A Fran meal Reyes in Pittsburgh. And he's going to go yard against Joe Musgrove or whoever else they decide to throw out there by the time Musgrove is out in the 5th inning. So I'm going Fran meal. I don't know if it's going to go in the river, but it's going to definitely go over the fence. So Fran meal Reyes is my pick for Friday night. Chris, where are you going?
But there's so many ways to go. There really are.
I wanted to challenge myself just a little bit.
Yeah,
I like the Fran meal tonight.
Yeah, you did want to challenge yourself just a little bit. Let's go. I am not going to challenge myself. I'm going to go right to chalk. I'm going to go right to chalk, and I am going to go with JD Martinez tonight against Trent Thornton. I just think it's completely worth the price to pay up for JD tonight in Boston against Thornton, fly ball pitcher.
All right, there you have it. So we'll be back again tomorrow morning on Saturday for your weekend show. Take you through the weekend in DFS and betting and everything else in between. And, it's the kind of show you can kick back, listen to on the hammock, make some lineups up, and, kind of enjoy the weekend. It's summer. You sit by the pool, you make some lineups, you listen to the podcast, you get a couple laughs, and, chances are you'll be more successful than Chris Davis. So you can follow him on Twitter at Chris Meaney. Follow me at Joe Pisapia 17. And of course, follow us at LineStar App and download that LineStar App today. Use it. I'm telling you, it's going to change your world. Football's right around the corner with LineStar too, so you can get in there and start to understand the tools and how they work for football season. And of course, get your Fantasy Football Black Book 2019 while you're at it. That'll do it for me and Chris. And there's only one thing left to do, and that's step out of the on-deck circle and into the batter's box and go yard. We'll see you next time, kids.
You've been listening to the DFS On Deck podcast, brought to you by LineStar. Hit subscribe, tell a friend, and stay tuned for the next episode from fantasy baseball experts Joe Pisapia and Chris Meaney.